Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ellie Lee and this is Ellie Lee Designs. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how I use the Cricut Infusible Ink transfer sheets to create this super cute baby bodysuit using a Cricut blank. And as usual, before we get started, we'll go ahead and take a look at the items we'll need to complete this project. First, you'll need your cutting machine, and I'll be using my Cricut Maker today. You're also going to need your cutting mat, your HeatPress mat, your scissors, a weeding tool, your infusible ink, your HeatPress, and lastly, your Cricut blank. I'm going to be using the baby bodysuit blank that I happened to find on clearance today. As a quick little side note, I just want to point out that when referring to the cardstock, the blank already comes with the cardstock that you can use inside. This is the one that comes inside of the baby bodysuit, so you can use this as a cardstock. I actually ended up using a different piece of cardstock, but that's always an option if you don't have any. And then the butcher paper, that comes in the infusible ink. So this would be the butcher paper that you're going to be using for the project. And the star of today's show is going to be this really cute design called I Really Love You baby bodysuit that you can find in Cricut Design Space. So now that you know what you'll need, let's go ahead and jump into Cricut Design Space. The first thing that we're going to do while in Cricut Design Space is go over to the Projects tab on the left-hand side and then go to the search box and type in Ocean Theme. And we're gonna scroll down. I saw a really cute design that was, here it is, I Really Love You. We'll go ahead and click on that. This design is listed as being easy and taking less than 30 minutes to complete. As I mentioned before, you can always print the instructions, but you can always read them here. You can scroll right through them. I do recommend that you read the instructions before you proceed with the project just to make sure that you have everything that you need. So since I'm not going to be making any changes to the design, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the Make It, and then it's going to bring us right into our cutting mat portion of the Cricut Design Space. Since we're going to be using the infusible ink today, we do want to click on the mirror option here so that it'll flip our design around, because we've got the wording. If we didn't have the wording, we could always just flip the image or mirror the image and it would just show in the opposite direction. But in this particular case with the lettering, we want to make sure that once we iron on our design, it does read in the correct direction. So once we've mirrored, we go ahead and go to continue. Then our machine is going to connect. And then we select our base material. I am going to go ahead and click on the Infusible Ink transfer sheet here. I do have it as part of my favorites. And I'm going to keep the pressure the same at the default setting. We've already got our fine point blade, so now we're ready to go load our mats. Today I'm using the Cricut bodysuit blank. This is for a 6 to 9 month old, and I happened to find it on clearance, so I was very excited about it. Let's open it up and see what it looks like. Here is our little Cricut onesie or the bodysuit blank. It's super cute with this white and black here. I absolutely love it. Next, we're going to prepare our infusible ink, and what we'll want to do is just peel this little plastic sheet that goes over your mat. If you haven't tossed these plastic sheets, definitely don't do that. I recommend keeping them because they just help to keep your mat from getting any debris on it and keep it nice and sticky. So just always put that to the side and keep that. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is you are going to need some gloves. Basically because the infusible ink is pretty sensitive, and you don't want to touch it with your bare hands because you might have oils or different things on your hands that can damage the infusible ink. So just make sure that you are wearing gloves when you use it. So this is what the infusible ink looks like. It's a lot lighter in color when you are looking at it prior to ironing it on. So if you're looking at your box, you can see there's a huge difference in the color, but it'll come out a lot brighter. Trust me, just stick it out to the end and you'll see how beautiful it's going to look. Selected the blue that I'm going to be using, which I love it. I think it's gonna look super cool for this design. So we're gonna apply the infusible ink facing up, okay? I'll put that right onto our mat very carefully. I always have a tough time with this because it's really curled up. So let's see here. I think the best thing to do is just go ahead and grab it on the sides here, and then if you press just a little bit, just so that you're not bending it, but just to put a little bit of pressure to help you be able to stabilize these corners here. There is our infusible ink. Remember that this is going to come out a lot brighter. I'm not sure if you can see it there. I'm having a little bit of lighting issues, so I apologize for that. But it is going to come out a lot darker than what you see on this mat here. So we're going to go ahead and load our cutting mat with the double arrows. And once the little Cricut button here starts to flash, then you're good to go ahead and hit that, and it'll start cutting your vinyl or your infusible ink, whatever material you're using. All right, so now that it's done, you're gonna see the double arrows are gonna be flashing. You can hit that and it's going to remove your mat from the machine. Now that we're done cutting our design onto the infusible ink, what we're gonna do next is just remove it from the cutting mat, and you'll do that by just placing it face down and then peeling it softly off of your mat, just to make sure you don't have any creases or anything and damage the paper. All right. So now that we've removed it off our mat, we're just gonna grab a pair of scissors, which you can use these little Cricut scissors. If you've gotten the Cricut bundle, these came with the bundle, but you can purchase them on the side or use any pair of scissors that you have. Okay, we've got our design there, and now we are ready to read it next. This is definitely a project that requires patience, but again, it's so worth it in the end. I promise you, just work through it. It can be a little tough to read this out because of the small letters, but once it's done, the rest of it moves really quickly. And I don't know about anyone else, but honestly, the reading is a little therapeutic, so I kind of get lost in it. It is rather soothing, actually. All right, there is our design. And on this side, you see it's white, but you're going to see the magic happen in just a moment. So before we get started with our heat press, we want to go over to the Cricut.com heat guide so that we can check to see what heat setting we should have. For those of you that have been with me for some time now, you will recognize the screen because this is the same one that we used for the HTV project that we did. If you are new to my channel, welcome. The first thing we're going to do is click the Easy Press option here. And then we're going to select our heat transfer material, which is the infusible ink transfer sheet. There it is. I'm just gonna scroll down here a moment, and we're gonna select our base material, and that's the baby bodysuit. And since I'm going to be using the Cricut Easy Press Mat, then I'm going to click this. If you're not and you're using a towel, just make sure to leave that open. Then we'll go ahead and click apply. So now you're gonna get all of your recommendations here. The first thing that we'll need to do is preheat for 15 seconds. We're going to set our temperature for 360 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to press with light pressure for 120 seconds. We also want to take a look at the other things that they have here. It talks about prep and the supplies that you'll need. And the most important thing here is just make sure that you're always taking a look at the caution, because there's definitely a reason for it. This particular one just says to make sure that you're using a well-ventilated area, since there may be vapors from the heating process that could cause irritation. All right, so now that we have our heat press plugged in, we're gonna hit the power button, and we're going to go ahead and set the temperature. So we're gonna click on this little temperature button. It's already set at 360, so I'll leave that there. And the timer, if you click on the little clock, you can go ahead and set that. And that was already set at 120, so we'll go ahead and leave that. As you can see, the temperature is already rising, and we're gonna wait for that to hit the 360 degrees before we can go ahead and proceed with our next step. While our heat press is heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and prep our bodysuit. And the first thing I need to do is put the cardstock into the bodysuit. And this is gonna protect it from having the infusible ink bleed through the fabric. So you wanna make sure that you put that in first. I know this from experience because I went through a couple of different shirts before I really noticed what I was doing wrong. It's a bad habit of not reading instructions. So I encourage you very much to read instructions. So now that the cardstock is in the bodysuit, I'm gonna go ahead and use the lint brush roller to run right over it. So just make sure that if there's any loose fibers or anything like that, just pull it off. Done with the lint brush roller, I'm gonna grab the butcher paper that comes with the infusible ink transfer sheets. And we're just gonna grab one sheet. There. And I'm gonna lay that over the top. And now we'll preheat for the 15 seconds. All right. So now we're ready to put our design onto the bodysuit. And we're going to go ahead and just line it up wherever you feel comfortable, wherever you feel the design looks best for you. And then I'm gonna grab my butcher paper again and lay it over the design. Now you can use heat transfer tape. You'll notice here that the tape, the design, actually sticks really well on its own. So I'm not gonna use transfer tape, but or heat transfer tape, excuse me. But it is an option that you can use. I just wanted to point that out in case you don't have it. It's not absolutely necessary. It does help keep it in place, but as long as you're not moving it around, you're good to go. You wanna make sure, before you put the heat press on there, you wanna make sure that once the heat press is on here, you do not move it, because if you do, you're gonna get like a ghosting effect. And it won't be those crisp, clean lines. So hopefully I can manage to do that and lift it off without moving my design. All right, lifted that as quickly as I could up. So I'm gonna remove the butcher paper. I can already see the blue. I'm hoping that doesn't mean I have some ghosting. So I'm just gonna wait for this to cool off just a little bit. It is a warm peel, so I will let it cool for just a few moments. All right, so we'll go ahead and peel that up. And there you go. this is one of the great things about Infusible ink. If you see in it inside here, you can stretch it out and the ink is in the fibers. So you don't have to worry about cracking or anything like that like you would with the HTV. This just basically lasts forever. So this is a great option, but if you're working with really tiny letters, I'd say use the HTV just because it's a lot easier to work with. This is so much harder, in my opinion, to read when you're using really letters. But again, that's just based off of my experience thus far. I just prefer the HTV if I'm going to be working with smaller, more intricate pieces or letters. Okay guys, that is a wrap. We finished our project and I think it came out super cute. So the one thing I do want to mention before we finish up here is for the washing instructions. You want to make sure that you're using cold water, a light detergent, and washing it inside out just to protect it, and also tumble dry, no dryer sheets, and that will make sure that this is in good condition for a very long time. I look forward to hearing your comments or to reading your comments below. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe below, hit the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. If there's something in particular that you'd like to see, please share. I'd love to hear it, and I'm excited to bring that to you. If you tell me what you want, I'll be able to bring you the content that you want to see. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time. What is going on with these lights?